Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel for the next episode in our ongoing new figure showcase series, where we take a look at the latest recent 6-scale figure release that I'm adding into my collection. For today's episode, we're leaving behind Marvel and Star Trek, and we're going to go in a bit of a one-off direction, and we'll be looking at Neo from the Matrix Resurrections by Hot Toys. Now, this was one of last year's summer exclusives, so I did feel like it took a while for him to be released. But he's finally here, and look, we'll get into the movie and the series a little, but I'm really excited to have this figure in hand. With the original Neo that Hot Toys put out, I think this is going to be a great companion piece. And honestly, I won't be comparing him to that original release because I do think, one, that is an older figure, and two, it's a very different figure. That one was Neo armed to the teeth, not knowing what his true capabilities were, and as the series progressed, you saw him become much less dependent on weapons. So I've heard some people say this is a very basic figure, but I don't think that's something you can blame Hot Toys for, since they're essentially recreating this version of Neo from the movie. And he doesn't even hold a gun in it, so we'll be looking at this pretty much on its own merits. Now, as for the movie, trust me, I've seen the reception and I've read the reviews and the complaints. And this might say more about me and my taste in entertainment than anything else, but I really enjoyed it. In my ranking, the original Matrix definitely remains the best by far, followed by the Matrix Reloaded, which I actually really liked as well and thought it did a great job continuing that story. And then I would actually have this movie, Matrix Resurrections, coming in as my third favorite because I actually enjoyed it a lot and I liked the direction that they took the story in. Although it did take me a second to kind of accept what they were doing and that they were going in such a different direction. But once I did, I was able to enjoy it. And then my least favorite by far is the Matrix Revolutions. I'll watch it now and then, but that felt like a poor conclusion to everything that had been established in the first two movies. So, Matrix Resurrections. Again, I was a little surprised at first, and I was almost taken out of the movie when Smith is talking to Neo about how Warner Brothers wants them to make another Matrix video game. It was super meta, but then I kind of accepted it, and I think I was able to really enjoy what they were trying to do, which is focus on Neo's reawakening. So while not as action heavy as the prior installments, I liked catching up with all the characters and seeing the different iterations of both Morpheus and Smith, and also seeing Neo and Trinity back together and kind of the evolution of this world of the Matrix. So, with that out of the way, let's take a look at the package we're getting here from Hot Toys. And look, it's a little misleading when you look at the overall because it looks like you're getting a lot, just because of the sheer size of some of the diorama elements. But this is a very basic, simple set. And simple isn't bad at all. Here, what you're really getting are hands, and you're getting those diorama elements. But I'll go to my standard question here, which is what else could he possibly include? He didn't use weapons in the movie, so I think it's a decent package overall, and you're getting what you should expect. So let's jump into those accessories, and we're going to start with the hands because that really is the highlight here. And I'll say Hot Toys did a great job with them, giving you all sorts of splayed out hands to create a very dynamic look with your figure. The hands all look really decent, but there are two that immediately stand out, and that's the one holding the red pill between his fingers and the one holding the blue pills in the palm of his hand. Now, I know that it might not come across as the most exciting display option, but there's something really unique there and kind of pivotal to the character's backstory. Both of those hands have some great detail work and immediately stand out. The next accessory is also pretty unique, being the pill bottle holding the blue pills. And it's actually a pretty cool item. It has the label on the front that actually says Thomas Anderson on it with the dosage instructions and the medicine's name, which is Entalafloxacin, which is actually a nice Easter egg or a little teaser there playing off ontology, which is the study of being. So again, very much in line with what the Matrix is all about. Going back to the bottle, the material choice is excellent, creating that orange looking bottle we're all familiar with when we get prescriptions. And on the inside you can actually see the blue pills, which is a pretty nice touch. Now the next accessory are his sunglasses, and this is probably the most controversial of them, because when the blogger pics got released, along with the figure release, it was clear that Hot Toys changed these from the prototype, and they seemed to be bigger, and on the sculpt they seemed way oversized. I will say they look okay by themselves, but they also look pretty standard. By comparison, some of the other glasses we've gotten either from this line, from Hot Toys or from Damn Toys, just seem better, and there's some parts of the frame that do seem a little too thick, but we'll definitely see it on the figure in a little bit. Now the next pieces are all parts of the diorama elements. So you're getting 4 bullets with the bullet time wave effect trailing behind with different overall lengths, as well as 3 individual bullets that you're supposed to peg into the diorama mirror, let's call it. The highlight here for me has to be that bullet time effect. It's done really well, it looks good, and I love the plastic waves kind of giving you that dynamic feel. Although it is a shame that you really won't be seeing much of these once you attach them to the piece. So let's go on to that diorama element, which Hot Toys is calling the mirror piece, and look, it looks decent. It has the matrix code kind of ghosted into the plastic, and in the middle you have all of the ripple effects, which you're meant to use with the bullets we looked at just before. Or I guess you could always just use this and have Neo posed with his hand on it to create a pose showing that he's waking up into the real world. Now, if I don't seem excited, it's because, again, the material choice, I just feel like it could have been better. It does the job, but it's not the sturdiest piece. It's pure plastic, a little on the thicker side, which is great, but still just plastic. The reason I sound a little mixed again is because while I don't like that material choice, I think once you attach the bullets to the mirror, it looks really good. Now, if that wasn't enough, you also get a massive base and backdrop here. This was a little surprising to me, just because the figure is pretty standard, and these types of stands usually get reserved for more dynamic pieces like the first Falcon or even the first Neo carrying all of his gear. Now here the base has the movie name on the front face, and the top of the base is actually a lenticular piece that's supposed to show the matrix code cascading down. I don't think it's as effective as the backdrops we got with the classic and President Loki, where you could actually see the image shift. Here it's a much more subtle shifting, if any, and the backdrop is also cardboard with more lenticular pieces glued on, and it does create a nice street backdrop with the matrix code. I think it looks nice and does give the figure a little something extra, but it's a big space hog, and I'm not sure I'm ready to give this figure such a prominent bit of real estate for display. But still, I think the overall effect is pretty solid. But now the meat of the review, as we take a look at the figure itself, and we'll start with the sculpt, which I'll say looks phenomenal. I think to this point, this has to be one of the best, if not the best, Keanu sculpt we've gotten in 6 scale. At least until Hot Toys finally releases that John Wick out for pre-order. Detail work here is outstanding though. This is an older Neo, so his face does have some wrinkles as well that you can hopefully see in the video, especially around his forehead. Paint apps are excellent too. Detail work on the facial hair, and even though we're getting sculpted hair here, it still looks pretty amazing. So I do think Hot Toys did a killer job here, and I'm really happy with how this turned out. Now, the rest of the figure is pretty basic, no crazy outfit. It's basically a guy in a long coat, a black shirt, slacks, and shoes. And I did, again, see some criticism. But for starters, this is an accurate recreation of Neo's look in the movie. And I have to say, for a pretty straightforward figure, Hot Toys still did a great job with the fabric choices and the tailoring. And that jacket is actually really, really nice, with amazing detail work on the collar and on the sleeves, where you can actually see some slight button details. Shirt also has some slight detailing on the torso area, and then the shoes are actually pretty nice. They do remind me a little of a toned down version of the boot he wears during the lobby shootout scene. So overall, I think he looks really good, if a little generic. I have heard, again, the comparisons of the figure itself. Let's forget the movies for now, but just the figures. But I know some people have been saying, oh, the figure from the first Matrix is better, he has so much more, and you're not wrong in terms of accessories. But the first Matrix, again, like I said at the beginning, is a really different movie. To me, it's still the best of the series, but Neo there is in a different place in his life, so to speak. And while I know the Matrix Resurrections wasn't what people expected, for me, once I realized that I actually did end up enjoying the movie, and this kind of take on a depowered Neo trying to find himself again. And the other thing I will say, as a figure, even though he's basic, he actually ended up being a lot of fun to pose and set up. And what really surprised me is how good he looks holding the pill bottle and with the 2 different hands holding the pills. I just think he looks pretty good. Even though it's recreating a guy basically taking his medication or looking at his options. Those poses are actually my favorites because it feels like you're telling a story with them. So look, posability wise, he has double jointed elbows, and with this particular look and set of clothes, there's no restriction. You can really get a lot of movement out of this guy. And again, I just did not expect to like him as much as I did. I think part of it stems from me liking the movie and also from having that first figure. And I was very hard pressed to find something negative to say here, but no figure is perfect, and the big issue here, without a doubt, has to be the glasses. But even that, it's obvious that the glasses are oversized. They just are. And getting them onto the figure does require a little bit of patience, especially with the sculpted hair. But they don't look as bad as I expected them to. And from a distance, I don't know that you would notice the issue, but having seen how good the pre-order promo shots were, this does feel like a major downgrade. And I'm not sure why it happened. I feel like Hot Toys and other companies have actually gotten really good at 6 scale sunglasses, so I'm at a loss to explain it. For me, the benefit here is that the sculpt is so good, I wouldn't use the sunglasses anyway. And in the movie, I think he only uses them in the final scene. So while a little annoying, not a total deal breaker. The other interesting thing is that diorama mirror piece. In the promo shots, Hot Toys had it displayed in front of the figure to recreate a stance and a look where Neo's stopping bullets on flight. But if you're putting him in a display, you would either have to pose him so you could see the figure from the side doing that, or straight on. And straight on, the effect hides the figure. And on the side, you run into that space issue. So I did pose mine up with the piece being more of a backdrop, and I think it worked pretty well. Now, while I did manage to get him in some dynamic poses, that's not really how I remember him from the movie, so it's nice to have the option, but not really how I'm envisioning displaying him in the long run. So overall, I think this wasn't a popular movie. I know it wasn't. I liked it, but I'm clearly in the minority, and I think this figure wasn't as hyped due to that reception. But it actually turned out really well, and I'm happy that I didn't pass on him because he's going to look amazing on display. And it'll be nice to have that evolution of Neo from the young hacker with guns to his older, maybe wiser person. So that was a quick look at Neo from Hot Toys based on his appearance in The Matrix Resurrections. Let me know your thoughts on this one, and as always, thanks for watching, and if you are enjoying the content, please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing, and we'll touch base on the next video.